You just gotta love these days, right? It is a Wednesday morning, the 17th of July, I believe. It is sunny, real sunny. Yesterday was pretty gnarly. It was we had some storms and some weather, kind of dodgy weather. Yesterday it was brutally hot. Today it's in the 80s, or supposed to be in the low 80s. You can't ask for a much better day. If you go back to the original Dungeons and Dragons, let me rephrase it. Go back to the original Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the first AD&D that came out. And ever since then, you will find a small chapter or sub-chapter within the Dungeon Master's Guide for hirelings. Now, it's funny how many people do not take advantage of that chapter. It actually is pretty eye-opening to consider just how few people actually tap it. When they do tap it, it's usually in a segue, in a supporting role off the table. So your group decides they want to have a base, or one of your players is sufficiently leveled up to decide he needs to have his own holdfast, or they do a mission for a local king who then awards them with some land that includes, and here's trying to slide out of my damn hands, trying to get a coffee in my damn belly and sliding around. It makes me paranoid because I do not want to drop this thing. So they sit there and they get some land, and that means you're going to sit around all day and watch your land and manage your land, or you're going to hire other people to run stuff for you and occasionally visit. This is where the hirelings and henchmen section come in. It's interesting how some of the earliest mechanics for fighters specifically, but in a lot of cases, were geared towards encouraging, supporting, and attracting followers and hirelings. Now, mercenaries fall into that category as well, and it's covered in some of these books. I got a book I've been reading and that I'll do a review on down the road that's got a whole chapter on it. Now, when I think about that for a minute, take a moment. If any of you, and it's hard for me to talk about anything in our hobby and realize I have to accept that not everybody's seen Star Wars and not everybody's seen Indiana Jones. I mean, it's almost like blasphemy when you hear somebody say, "Well, I've never seen the Star Wars movie." How? How the hell can you not have seen it? Right? It's like Indiana Jones. How can you have not seen at least one of Indiana Jones' movies? The very beginning, the very first Indiana Jones movie, Indiana Jones and the Ark of the Covenant, the Lost Ark. The very beginning, Indy is in a South American, I want to say Peru, but Peruvian jungle, but he's in a jungle in South America, hunting down a tomb or a temple looking for a little statuette. Before he gets there, he has some Sherpas, or local version of Sherpas. He's got some pack animals, some mules, he's got a couple handlers for them. He has an entourage. So you think about Dungeons and Dragons specifically, and I think of Faerun, it's very popular to have adventuring companies. And when they talk about companies, this is where a handful of your typical, atypical player, PC-generated player character heroes, adventurers that go around doing stuff, and then they can have a quote company with a pippy name. When I think of company, I think of literally a much bigger entity than three to six really accomplished individuals acting as a group. That doesn't really constitute a company. No, well, I start thinking, okay, back in the day, the adventurers go on an adventure, they go travel to the depths of the jungle, and they need support. They got to take food and supplies. See, we do everything in our level best to mitigate how much stuff a person has to carry. When in reality is, if any student of history that talks about, look at fur trapping in the late 1600s and early 1700s, when fur trappers went way out beyond the known frontier of America by themselves, usually with a mule loaded with supplies, or they went out in pairs or small groups. They formed companies, and they would have plenty of provisions with them. They couldn't all pack everything they needed to carry on their back. And some of the bigger operations had multiple people, and some whose only job was to keep track of the gear and the equipment and set up camps and take down the camps. So these people are the supporting actors or the backups for your player characters. It's also traditionally or potentially from that pool of hirelings and followers, henchmen, that you get your backup character sheets from when your character takes a dump. You know, it happens. I don't think too many players, too many groups today make use of this. And I haven't looked in all the editions of the AD&D Dungeon Masters. You know, I don't know if 5th edition includes a chapter on mercenaries and henchmen and hirelings. I suspect they do. I suspect it does. I hadn't thought to look at it. It's just one of those things that seems to get pushed off to the side, underutilized, or improperly utilized. Just a thought, just a comment, just an opinion. Anyway, till next time, you guys have yourself a great, a great summer, right? Great July. What's left of it.